My name is TotalBiscuit, and I suck at Starcraft 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of I Suck at Starcraft 2. We've left the Malvoo supremacy thoroughly behind us, and we've started on some placement matches, which determine where I will go in the leagues. Now, I wonder if there's a league below Copper, because I'd like to inhabit it. Right, let's get it started off. We're playing against a Protoss player. We're going to speed it up so that we don't have to worry about watching the initial boredom. Now, I'm going to go for my block here, and I'm going to attempt to do it properly this time. There's the first supply depot. I'm going to dump a barracks in the middle there, and another supply depot on the other side. Now, my opponent has gone very early on there for 2 gateways, which would indicate the possibility of a zealot rush. Now, that doesn't actually happen, as you will see later on. It would appear that my opponent may have the same issue I do. Gun shy. That's who he is, and that's how he plays. Will it help me? Well, we shall see. Now, I'm going for the early Vespene gas there because I'm looking to get a hold of a factory and some early Reapers for harassment purposes. There's his 3rd gateway going up, and he has started to build his Zealots. Now, I would expect an early attack here, but again, this attack never actually comes. Successful deflection of his probe there, that's being got rid of. He knows I have Marines, and he is aware of the presence of my block, so he's not going to try that one again. Having a look at the resources, we're fairly even, although I'm ahead on Vespene, which should give me some tech advantages. He has less workers than I do, but he is rapidly building Zealots at a rate that I cannot compare to. I only have 1 barracks. He's got 3 gateways, and he's pumping Zealots out of all of them. Now, if he attacks at the right time here, he can overwhelm my defenses and end the game in short order, and indeed, a Zealot rush does just that. However, he doesn't actually do that, which means the game is going to be a little bit more drawn out. Now, there's that second barracks I was talking about there. I'm going to attach a tech lab to it to allow me to build some Reapers. These jetpack infantry can bypass choke points, which makes them very useful for relatively early game harassment and nice bits of covert ops. Now, this factory I'm going to use to create Hellions, and the Hellions are light armored bike units with a flame attack, which allows for some area of effect damage. They're very nice when supporting an attack on a Zealot heavy force. So, of course, since I know he's going to be pumping Zealots, I am pumping Hellions with a reactor there. I can build 2 at once. Now, he really has passed the point where an early Zealot rush would be effective. I have 2 bunkers up, I've got plenty of Marines, and Hellions are on the way. My tech is in advance of his, so he has missed his opportunity. I don't know why he didn't go for me earlier. I can assume, again, that he has the same issue that I do. He got a little bit too gun-shy. Very unfortunate. So he's continuing to pump those Zealots out, and he's now building some Stalkers as well. It's a relatively effective mix there, the Zealots and the Stalkers, quite similar to the Marines and Marauders strategy. They can take on almost anything early game. They're a good mix, particularly if you micro them correctly. You simply dump the Zealots in one group, dump the Stalkers in another, use the Stalkers against armor and aircraft, use the Zealots against infantry. It's relatively effective, particularly if you combine it with some sentries, which provide shielding abilities. Now, there's my 5 Reapers. They're off to have a look around, see if he's got some kind of early expansion, which evidently he doesn't. Now, what I want to do, since I've now scanned and I know what he's got at the front there, is to try and flank around and attack from a different direction. I don't want to go in there too quickly because, hey, look at that. My Reapers will get annihilated. Looking to take advantage of my speed and the ability to bypass the choke point. You can see there in the unit plane, he is now building sentries, which can provide shielding. I've got a lot of Hellions there. That's going to be very nice against that group. And I'm also pumping out Marines and Marauders, since I've seen that he has Stalkers. I'll be able to nail those Stalkers with the Marauders if I do it properly. Now, there's an expansion from him. Now would be a good time to move my Reapers in. Unfortunately, I may not quite get there quick enough, and indeed he spots me, and I have to run away straight away. Didn't really lose any Reapers there. Took a little bit of damage, nothing major. The idea was to bring him out of position and to then charge in with my force there. However, I got a little bit too close, and he did spot me at this point. I go in there, he is able to respond very quickly, and while I'm able to do a lot of damage to his Zealots, the shield deployment really didn't help matters there, and my force got taken out in short order. He did lose quite a few Zealots there, but he certainly didn't lose as much as I did. Now, he's going in for the counter-attack, or so we think there. He has wiped my force out to the man, and is moving in. Unfortunately, he seems to be getting a little bit gun-shy, hasn't moved in at all. He's actually backed off there. It's a shame, because he could have gone in there and overwhelmed my 2 bunkers relatively fast. Cut them of marauders wouldn't have been able to stop him. Maybe he's seen better of that, and he's decided to go in once more. As you can see, the Stalkers and relatively injured, but fully shield-charged Protoss Zealots, so they'll be able to go in there quite nicely. But if he goes too close to my base, he's going to get fired on by those bunkers, and we'll see whether or not he runs into that error. So he's got an expansion out, and I'm continuing to build Marauders and Marines. And I've got a starport up there as well as an armory. I'm looking to try and get that Hellion buff, which is a massive boost against light armor. And there he's moving in there, and you can see he's being attacked by the bunkers as he runs past, taking a lot of damage on the Stalker there. Shields eliminated. He's going for my expansion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the expansion off, get it out of the way, and then move in with the force that I managed to build up there. In goes his Zealots to be caught in a nasty crossfire between the bunkers and the Hellions. He lost quite a few there, and he's backed off, wounded but not beaten. Now I can possibly get the momentum up there, and oh dear, 4 Stargates being built. Now, of course, since I'm concentrating on base defense, I didn't scout, and I was unaware of the presence of those Stargates. Now, what could happen? Well, Stargates generally mean lots and lots of Void Rays, and I don't have a counter to that right now. Okay, so he's got his Expeditionary Force out there, and I move into attack, properly microed. There goes the AoE damage. You can see heavy damage to the Zealots there. The Marauders targeting the Stalkers in the back, and taking a few casualties there, but his Zealots very nicely eliminated, and his Stalkers taken out with relatively few casualties from the Terrans. And there goes his Expeditionary Force. Now, I don't have the capabilities with it to go after him now, but I should have tried it anyway, because those Void Rays are being built. Now, had I scouted, I would have known about the Void Rays, and I'd been able to put out some counters, but I didn't. I was a little bit too shell-shocked by his attack there and thrown off balance. I was desperate to try and build some more defenses, and my idea was to go in heavy ground with some siege tanks backing up my Marines, Marauders, and Hellions. Now, moving in the Hellions there for a little bit of a harass, and successful there because he's being caught out of position. There go the Hellions after his probes. Good damage there. All his probes eliminated, and of course economic damage, and I'm able to run away. Now, I've got my Marauders in there as well, and I saw the Void Rays. This is the real mistake that I made in this game. I got an opportunity to see his Void Rays before he really attacked my base with them. That's not an advantage I would usually have. I should have countered. I didn't. Am I building Vikings? No. Am I building a ton of Marines? No. I don't have the good counter available, and I didn't even build a bunch of turrets to counter those Void Rays. Very stupid of me indeed, and as you will see later on, I pay for it. I've continued to go down the route of siege tanks and Hellions, which of course against Void Rays are totally useless. They don't have any AA. You can see there my comm center on full energy. No scans have been used whatsoever, and that's me getting a little bit of tunnel vision there, which of course is the bane of the new player. Siege tanks being pumped out there with Hellion backup, Marauders and Marines. Usually this would be a pretty good force, particularly with the backup of the Medivacs there, who will be able to provide an M&M strategy, backed up with siege tanks that can beat pretty much anything except, of course, heavy air, which is what he's gone for. Now I'm going for the second expansion there, looking for the economic dominance. As to whether or not that will do anything, well, who knows. But you see there, he's moved his Void Rays and managed to bypass my defenses, what little there were of them, completely. Eliminate the starport first, so no Vikings for me. I move in my vehicles just to try and distract while I build a bunch of turrets in order to try and drive these Void Rays off, losing expensive vehicles there. Siege tanks and Hellions being annihilated, and he's focusing fire there, able to take down my buildings in short order, focusing on the SCVs, destroying the turrets as they go up, but I've got 3 turrets up there in the middle now, so if he moves in any closer, he's going to get drawn into a deadly field of fire. Void Rays are not particularly durable. To be honest, they're ground attack flying artillery pieces as opposed to durable battlecruiser types. So he's taking a lot of damage there. I fly out to get my buildings out of the way, and he flies straight into a hornet's nest of missiles, taking an awful lot of damage there. Takes out 1 turret, but Void Rays dropping like flies, and he backs out there, losing a couple of Void Rays. Now, the worst thing is here, I get complacent. I think, hey, I've got the defense to eliminate this, and I don't decide to build a ton more turrets, which is exactly what I should have done. I should have rebuilt my starport, pumped out a bunch of Vikings to deal with those Void Rays, because my ground attack force is reasonable. I could go in with that. You can see there, he's got 11 Zealots, but I've got a nice mixed force with Medivac units. That's very nice. I could have gone in there, done some damage. I built a couple of turrets, but really nothing worth writing home about. And he's moving his Zealots in there once again, taking fire, and runs straight into an ambush, absolutely annihilating the Zealots. Very few casualties on my end, and caught in a deadly crossfire. And down they go. But he does now know that I have siege tanks. Of course, he knew that already. Now, if you look at his unit counts, even more void rays. Do I have anything to counter them? No. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be my downfall. No starport, only a couple of extra turrets there. The sad thing is, I had the resources. I could have pumped out way more turrets. I could have repulsed that attack and perhaps gone and counterattacked, maybe even winning the game. But no, I did not do that whatsoever. I was concentrating too much on building units, and hey, in go the Void Rays, concentrated fire, eliminating the turrets in short order with very little damage done to them whatsoever. I try and build a bunch of turrets as quickly as possible, but it is not enough. He's able to annihilate my turrets, concentrated fire, one by one. And, of course, I am building far too little, far too late. Do I have anything to counter it? Well, no, not really. My ground attack units can't do anything about that whatsoever, and my base is being gutted. There go my turrets, and at this point, I do indeed decide to concede because I just don't have enough to deal with that. You can look at my income there. I could have built the turrets. I didn't. I can't imagine why, but at this point, I do in fact surrender. So let's have a look at the post-mortem here. My opponent focused on some rather one-trick pony style attacks. He went with the Void Rays, which actually beat me, yet I could have very easily countered. Let's have a look at this unit screen here. You can see down the bottom, it's weak against Vikings, as well as the other anti-air. Vikings, very basic units, could have pumped them out, could have easily eliminated his force, then moved my lovely little combined arms group in and annihilated him. I didn't do that. And that was a mistake. He had no defenses. He really had nothing that could have stopped me. But I ended up losing the momentum and getting stuck on the defensive. And therein lies the problem. If I have one thing to say to people, it's make sure after an attack you get that momentum back. My name is TotalBiscuit, and I suck at StarCraft 2. I'll see you next time.